Ladies and gentlemen, I'm now going to go to audience questions. Anybody with a burning issue that you'd like to raise?
Heather from ZWBDC. Can I ask about the byproducts of nuclear? How is it going to be disposed of in the future, and what effect it's going to have on our youth?
The waste.
Yes, the waste.
Oh, I can give you just a couple of figures, and they explain everything. You know how much waste is produced in South Africa now today? It's 46 million tons a year. You know how much waste is Kuburg producing? Just, if I'm not mistaken, 38 tons a year. So it means that over the lifespan of Kuburg, there'll be 1,380 tons all in all produced. It can be stored on the square of a football field. Imagine how much. Okay, let's take another example of coal-fired power plants. You know how much waste is produced in order to generate 1 gigawatt hour, for instance. You need to burn 2.7 million tons of coal, and you have to dump that waste. In a nuclear power plant, to generate 1 gigawatt hour, you need to have just 24 tons of uranium. So these are comparisons. While I do not speak about the consequences, don't say anything about the consequences, because a lot of people, frankly speaking, die in South Africa. The world statistics today that about 10,000 people die a year of inhaling just dust and coal dust and other fossil fuel burns and smoke. So this is just in short.
Okay, so comparatively speaking, the impact of nuclear through waste and waste disposal is minuscule.
It's largely exaggerated.
Okay.
You can ask my colleague from France. They're having 58 reactors, if not mistaken, and the whole industry. And he can possibly prompt me by saying how much they have the domestic waste, and in comparison what.
Okay.
They have.
All right,
in France.
Just what I want to complement what Victor told is the nuclear industry is one, I think, if not the only industry, taking care of waste, starting the construction. It's not the case for coal, it's not the case for the chemical industry, and so on. We cannot start a nuclear plant if we cannot explain to the regulatory body, safety authority, how we will manage the waste. You will never have a license to proceed. Never. Okay? Try to ask the other industry to do the same. The second thing is, as it has been told, the waste management is done in each country at a very high level of safety for the population. You can come to France, you can visit France, you can go to some place where we have repository, people are living close to it, no issue. You go to where we are building the new nuclear plant in Flamanville, close to that we have the place where we reprocess the fuel. Because one thing you have to understand, when we finish a cycle with part of the fuel, energy is still there at 94%. So that means in France we have decided to recycle the fuel. That means we decrease the number of final waste we will have to store. You come to La Hague, you will see a place where you will have all the fuel burned in the past 25 years by the French nuclear plant, stored there, which has been reprocessed, put in a vitrification cask, a vitrification component, and put in the cask, and we are waiting now the final disposal to store it. Okay? We transport fuel every day in France from a nuclear plant to this place. And as it has been told, most of the industry in South Africa is polluting, and nothing is done, I can guarantee you one thing: we will not start a nuclear plant process without to be sure that everything will be in place to store and to manage the waste.
Hi, I'm Joyce Summers from Carte Blanche on Mnet. My question is for Mr. Polikarpov. One, and it's also a statement to some extent, is that one of the big criticisms of this nuclear deal has not necessarily been that media are against nuclear, but media are against the secrecy that surrounds the nuclear deal. And just in my own experience, and I think other journalists may have had the same problem, is that we were told by the Department of Energy that the nuclear deal was at an advanced stage, and yet we still know nothing. We have tried to get, we don't know the cost, we don't know if it's 9,600 megawatts. What do we actually know? And so I'm challenging the professionals on the stage that when the media do phone you up, just speak to us. That's my comment. Thank you.
Right. Mr. Polikarpov, the question around secrecy that surrounds a nuclear procurement, I suspect the industry may make the same accusation against government, but let's hear what the response will be.
This question has been munched so much around now, but I really don't feel that we are secret. You can come to our office, we can explain everything to you. The fact that we were the first to sign the so-called intergovernmental agreement, and initially it wasn't published, is just a normal intergovernmental procedure. Then it turned out to be that it was long, it had been long on the web page of our Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Similar agreements were signed with some other vendor countries. If you have a look at the Chinese agreement, you can find it in the internet. You'll see that it's very similar, to Russia. It generally speaks about, it's a framework agreement. It's no concrete and no deal. I think that it has been much exaggerated by the press. They're calling it a deal or calling it a done deal. It's not a done deal. It's just a kind of a framework interaction agreement between the countries. As Yves previously said, that it's not a normal commercial contract. Prior to starting and launching a normal commercial contract, you have to undergo lots of stages. You have to issue lots of intergovernmental agreements on how you're going to move forward, what you're going to do together, how you're going to finance the projects. And these stages are still to cover, to come. And I don't see really any secret. The fact that we were the first to sign this agreement, and the fact that, unfortunately, there was some kind of a mishap with regards to our praise statement, but frankly speaking, there was no secret.
Yeah, I just want to make a comment as an outsider about secrecy in this industry. I've worked in a number of energy industries, and the nuclear industry is probably one of the most transparent industries by the nature of its principles. It's extremely transparent. Probably the only thing that is secret is the cost, the price at the bottom, or the contract value. The rest is extremely transparent. So I'm not sure where this is going. The nuclear weapons industry is understandably secret. You don't want that bandied around too much. But in the energy industry, it's extremely transparent.
Good afternoon. I'm Tselane from South African Nuclear Energy Corporation. My question to the panelists, anyone can take this, is what is it that we are doing as participants in the nuclear industry to prepare South Africa to take on this mammoth task, especially in respect of the communication and the training and development of skills of South Africans to participate?
Just taking up the issue around preparing South Africa for a nuclear build program. For my sins, I head up the supply chain committee at NIASA, and the purpose of the supply chain committee is to prepare the local industry for a nuclear build program. So I feel I'm almost qualified to answer this question. It's something that I ponder on, deliberate on quite extensively, and I've actually applied it, and I've done it, and I have the scars for it. It is a very important thing that needs to be dealt with. As I said earlier on, you need a tremendous amount of time to do this, because the barriers to entry to the nuclear industry is extremely high. Unlike any other energy industry, it's fairly simple, and people in the construction sector can get their heads around this and deal with it and build it to a very good standard. The nuclear industry needs a little bit more care and preparation. If you look at a nuclear power plant, about half of it is the nuclear bit. The rest of it is similar to what we are building at Kusile and Medupi, but I don't want to just run that off too easily. The overall nuclear safety culture needs to prevail on the entire plant, and we could talk about safety cultures on another discussion. That's a very interesting discussion. But nuclear safety is an important aspect into the quality that one puts into the manufacturing, the engineering, the design, the construction, the commissioning, and the operations of these plants. That is a very important aspect of it, and South Africa is fairly well set up in this industry. We're one of the veterans in the nuclear industry. We started up the Safari reactor from Pumzile was coming from at Nexa back in 1965. It's been running for 50 years, and those were humble beginnings, and the world looked at us as pioneers in this industry, starting up and getting that reactor going. Kuberg has been running for 35 years. We have a regulator, so we have all the elements of a very mature and advanced nuclear industry in South Africa, and it would be an opportunity lost if we ignore this and don't use this opportunity. But the industry's got to be prepared. They need to understand how to qualify in this space, what components are required in this industry, and we're looking at, unfortunately, looking at a few opportunities that we are losing. We've got some great capabilities coming off Kusile and Medupi right now. Our civil force is probably the best civil team, I would say, in the world right now. We have magnificent capabilities. We've achieved something great there. And it's cost us a fortune to rebuild those skills from scratch back in 2006 and 2007 to where they are today. We putting them into Blue Yonder. We retrenching hundreds, thousands of these skills. It would have been so great to take these skills, nuclearize them, and put them into a nuclear build program today.
Okay.
That's the opportunity lost.
Okay, so it's about having a solid pipeline of projects that you can use these skills that you've built up for, and to make sure that once you've scaled up, you remain scaled up for the future.
And to the last point from our good friend Punzile is, yes, the industry has to be mobilized to do things in the country for the future, to create jobs, to create industry, but the government also has to do something. Because since now 2008 we are speaking about nuclear, but the government has not spent 1 cent to develop the industry, like just doing very simple thing, helping the industry companies, small and medium company and bigger company, to be qualified to produce nuclear goods. UK government did it to restart the nuclear industry in UK. They spent 385 million pounds just to help the industry to be ready when the program will restart. So I think industry can do a lot of things, but industry is driven by contract, and if we cannot see a contract, industry is not investing.
Right. Dave's closing comment.
And then what I just wanted to say is that I think for nuclear build to proceed well, I think there need to be a lot of awareness to the public. There needs to be a lot of engagement with the public to understand also the pros and cons of nuclear, and also to understand the value chain. What does nuclear bring to any country? And then what opportunities are there to ensure that the country benefits enormously, not only by the few, but also by the population at large. And I think what I should go forward, the industry and all the stakeholders, is to ensure also that the issue of compliance, you have to engage all the stakeholders, your SMMEs, take them through the workshop to say, what is it that you need to ensure that you comply, also you can be accredited in order to fully participate on the program. I think two things that are lacking is the communication aspect and also the level of involvement in terms of the business aspect. What is it that we can, as the youth, as the young entrepreneurs, get from this new build? I think once those issues are there, a lot of us can understand that the country, if it's going to invest on this, the investment will reward us as the country going forward.